Welcome everyone to our Attraction in Action Mastermind. As you know, we do this every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific. And I do my very best, as does Tim Ventura, our marketing director here at Icon Coaching, to find those people that are out there absolutely just blowing it up. They're crushing it. They're having a lot of fun, and they've changed their life, their trajectory, their bank account balance and net worth in the process. And today, I've got two very, very special people on the call with us, Jay and Ashley Nelson. I got to tell you, these guys reached out to me right when I joined EXP, and they were just so excited about the model, and they invited me to come out and present in their hometown, and they connected me with a whole bunch of other people. These guys are absolute connectors. They understand how to build relationships, and they're capitalists, in my opinion, with a heart, meaning they love people and they use money, rather than using people and loving money. So as a direct result, it comes through in their attitude, their leadership style, and it ultimately creates a high level of charisma. And you guys are going to experience that today. Jay, Ashley, welcome to our call.
Thank you so much for having us.
We're excited to be here, guys.
We love you, Sean. You're awesome.
Sean Kokoska, baby.
Well, back at you guys.
Man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Jay, Ashley, just give us the story. How'd you guys get into real estate? What did you love about selling real estate? And how did you get in touch with EXP? And what's happened to your revenue share organization since you joined?
Yeah, well, 25 years in real estate here in Nashville. We're sitting here at our farmhouse in Nashville right now. I still love real estate. I mean, I'm a people guy. I love walking into houses and showing them and talking to people. I just love the game of service of the client, whether they're buying $100,000 house or a $3.5 million house. I've always treated everybody the exact same. And I tell a $3.5 million client, I say, hey man, you're going to get the same treatment I give everybody. That's full tilt or no tilt. So,
white velvet glove.
White velvet glove. You ever seen white velvet gloves? I say, I'm going to give you the white velvet glove service. So
love it. Well, I know you guys do. So 25 years in the industry. When did you align with EXP? How many years ago was it?
So for me, I actually got into real estate back in 2006 in Louisiana. My grandparents owned a Century 21 franchise my entire life. So I grew up around the industry. And my grandfather always wanted me to get into real estate because I just love people. I love sales. It was just a win-win. And so, something very unfortunate happened. My grandfather, he helped me write my very first listing agreement. And the very next day he had a stroke. And that was awful for every possible reason. My mentor in life and one of my favorite people of all time. He just was an amazing man. And so, but what that taught me was you're really on your own in real estate.
yeah.
And I was just like everybody else, and you have to be a go-getter. It's a self-starter business. And everybody in that office wasn't jumping for joy to help me because I was their direct competition. So I did like everybody else does, and you just work your butt off and figure it out. And I did, and was very successful. But fast forward to me and Jay have been together for 11 years now. And he was in real estate. I was in a different industry at the time that we met. And he was the youngest Lifetime Achievement Award earner for RE/MAX in the state of Tennessee at that point that had ever happened. And that was wonderful. But really what that meant for us is that my husband worked all the time. He did it with just one assistant and him. And he was selling, what'd you do, 89 houses?
No, I did 81 houses my last year RE/MAX without a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
Just one admin.
And so I used to always tell him, Jay, you're going to work until you die. That's real estate. There's no retirement. You got to keep selling another house. And because that's literally what I saw happen with my grandfather, and my grandmother ended up running that business till she was 84, working every single day till she finally sold it for next to nothing. So I was able to see that my whole life. The recruiting was a normal thing to me. They were always recruiting agents. They were always mad at some other brokerage because they recruited their agents. So for me, there's no like stigma with recruiting. Recruiting, I love the word. I think it's great for me because that means, you know, somebody wants you.
Yep.
So I'm like not shy about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to recruit you. So whenever we saw EXP, Jay actually heard about it from a friend of ours that had just got in the business in Texas, and he had never sold a house yet. And so
The guy that showed us had never sold a house, and he's calling me up, pitching me, and I'm like, come on, dude.
but
I've blown $1 million on whatever you're going to show me. So you better bring the heat
yeah.
for this Zoom call.
But out of respect for friendship, Jay said, yes, I'll get on the webinar. And Jay forgot about the webinar. So here's another little lesson. People do forget. That's okay. Call them. So Sean called Jay, not this Sean, our sponsor, Sean, called Jay and said, you got to get on. You're making me look bad. You said you're going to be on. Get on. So Jay pulled over on the side of the road to watch the webinar. And after that, he called me and said, we need to look at something when I get home. And I'll never forget, we're sitting at our kitchen table like this right here, watching this webinar. And I was like, wait a minute, they're saying we can do what my grandparents did my entire life, but we don't have the liability and we can do it anywhere. So halfway through, I hit pause and I said, you're leaving Remax and we're doing this.
Yep.
And he filled out the application that night after 14 years at Remax.
Smart move, no doubt about that. So, so how long ago was that again that you completed the application?
5 years, 5 years and 4 months, I believe.
5 years, 4 months. And let me just ask, right out of the chute, did you take the recruiting opportunity, the revenue share opportunity, did you take it seriously?
100%.
Yep.
100%. See, many people don't. And that's why I want to bring it up. See, because the Jay and Ashley Nelsons of the world, they are few and far between, you understand. What you guys need to do is just invite them to calls just like this to get them to open their mind to all the possibilities of the financial achievements and gain that they can get by making the decision to give a little bit of energy to the recruiting aspect here at EXP to build that revenue share. And I can't tell you how many people that I've helped come over to EXP. They've aligned in my front line of the organization. They told me this. They said, I'm never, ever, ever going to recruit for EXP. How many times does that happen, Jay? Ashley, talk to me.
Yeah.
They say it all the time. I mean, you know, to me, it's not any different than getting a listing or a buyer. I mean, you know, it starts with the relationship. And if you're not building, you know, deep relationships with your clients, your buyers and sellers, and you're not building deep relationships with other realtors, you know, why did I jump on the Zoom? Because I actually love the guy that invited me to the Zoom. And it starts with, you know, we haven't done anything, guys. We're not fancy people. We didn't have some big following and all that
We
jazz.
didn't have a team.
We didn't have a team. We weren't bringing over 10 agents at once, nothing like that. I just understood that filling my gaps in my schedule. You know, one of the things I didn't want to do at EXP was because I'm a real estate guy. Now my son's running all our deals. I was just doing a deal with him 15 minutes ago. So I mean, it's changed because now we have 2,200 agents all over the world. So I spend a lot of time helping those 2,200 agents. So does Ashley. We both do. So, but I'm still doing real estate. I'm still running around, you know, listing properties with my son but we just fill the gaps. I mean, Sean, the number one thing that drives me nuts is when an agent says, I don't have time to recruit. I'm like, well, you know what? You're not filling the gaps in your schedule very well then. That's on you. I don't care. Let me ask you this. How much work do you think I did in my first 12 months at EXP? I sold, what was it? 64 transactions without a buyer's agent. That's all buyers listings, probably about a 60-40, 65-35 split. I was a busy guy. I had every excuse. I'm too busy to recruit, right? But what I did is I didn't change my production. I was just running. And in the middle of, if I had a buyer looking at houses from 9 to 11:30 on a Tuesday, and then I've got a listing appointment at 4:30, right? Then I'm filling that gap. I'm looking at that gap in my schedule where I'm going to go have coffee with an agent. And guys, let me give you one little tip from me. I would say 95% of the people that we enrolled to EXP, I scheduled the appointment to meet with them the day of the appointment because we're all busy. Think about it. How many people don't know what's going to come up tomorrow, right? But at 9:30 tomorrow, you're going to know where your gap is. So I would always invite to my coffee meetings the day of. So I might be 9:30 and I might text 6 different agents and say, hey, I'm going to be in Murfreesboro. Let's go grab a 15-minute coffee and just strategize, the market. Let's go. And guys, stop trying to schedule people for an hour. Nobody that's doing any kind of transactions has time to sit down and talk to you for an hour. So I just say, let's go grab 15-minute quick coffee because you're busy, I'm busy. Because I'm really not there to pitch EXP. I'm really just there to ask them about their business and see if I can find something that I'm doing in selling real estate, number one. What are they doing? Why they didn't close the amount of transactions they're doing? So I'm always leading with production. I don't lead with recruiting. So,
okay. So give us a sense of that, Jay, because that's intriguing to me that you're actually doing face-to-face meetings. Now, I've built my organization to about 2,200 agents as well here at EXP, yet I've only had one face-to-face recruiting appointment. And that one person did not align with EXP, and I had to buy him lunch and everything else. So.
Oh, this is good.
I do over the phone. So we're different on that. So
Good.
I'm more like you. I do everything over the phone, and Jay likes to meet people.
I just like the connection of people. Like, guys, the first time I saw EXP, the number one thing I didn't get was the stupid avatar. I was like, what are these little stick video game dudes running around? That's not Jay Nelson. That's not how I sold the amount of houses. So I didn't understand it. But what I realized, Sean, that was me not understanding that avatar is only a tool to give the Jay Nelson that needs to be in front of people more time to be in front of people. Because like I'm on the avatar, I'm on, getting stuff done in the cloud. And then that makes me more effective out into the field, right?
But let me answer that question.
Go ahead.
So what he does in person is the exact same thing that I do over the phone. So it's no different. But what we both do is just have conversations with agents. So it's not like I'm calling you to pitch you EXP. It's, hey, let's either meet up or let's do a phone call and see how the market's doing, see how your business is going, just kind of compare what's going on in real estate. And so what we look for within that conversation is something that we can say, oh, you know what? At EXP, we do that a little bit differently. Would you join me on a webinar, so time? And then you can learn a little bit more about it. So really, there's very little talk about EXP in our conversation.
Oh, yeah.
It's more about business, their family, their kids. Because even if you ask a bunch of personal questions too that are not business related, a lot of times, sometimes that's the thing that I use. You know what? Oh, you really don't want to go into an office. You have 5 kids. You're all over the place. You really don't have time for that. Well, we do that a little bit different at EXP. Would you join me on a webinar so you can learn a little bit more about it? It's no pressure at all. But that way you can just learn a little bit more about it. See if it might be something that's for you.
One thing I would say, Sean, is I'm a very intentional person with what I'm bringing to the table. So I'll find a topic that we need to discuss. So like maybe it's, are you building a YouTube channel? Like you could call 15 people today and say, hey, just want to let you know, I know we did a deal last year together. You were awesome. You busted your butt. I respect you as an agent. Are you building a YouTube channel? Yes or no? No, yes. Okay, cool. Listen, I got some people I'd love to, I'd love to sit down and strategize. Go with an invite for that coffee with some type of intent, something that's going to be like, let's go talk YouTube strategy. I don't have the biggest YouTube channel, but you know what? We should talk about that as a collective. Let's go grab coffee.
And I don't do that. So we do that differently, but that works for him. So that is something with recruiting. It is, you do have to find what works for you. And a lot of times you don't know what works for you. I mean, we've only been successful because we have talked to 1,000 agents.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of people.
Or more.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning, man, I sucked. I remember a meeting in Dallas, my best friend from childhood. And I mean, that I was all over the place. It was terrible, but I had to go through some terrible to be able to get really good at it. Now it's just second nature for me to talk about it.
Well, and Ashley, one of my favorite quotes is every master was once a disaster. So
Yeah, that's a
how
good
we
one.
reference this in our office when we'd be in our script and role play practice sessions back when I was in production, had a large team, is I said, who's going to dare to suck today? Meaning, who's going to volunteer to be the realtor in this role play? And I'm going to give you an objection and you're going to dare to suck, meaning what comes out of your mouth, yes, it might suck. It might be terrible. Yet simply by putting yourself out there, by risking that precious ego, daring to suck, you're going to stretch your mind.
That's right.
And once your mind is stretched, it never goes back to its original form. No doubt about that. Just remember, guys, every master was once a disaster. Let yourself off the hook. Fail a little bit, okay? Seriously, yet fail forward. And by failing faster than anyone else, you're going to find what works faster than anyone else. You just have to put yourself at risk. Now, Jay, I do want to say one thing about your strategy where you say, I'm going to be in Murfreesboro today, and you text 6 agents and see who's going to respond. Now, I want to share this with you. I found this graphic this morning as it relates to text message versus email. See, I love the strategy of texting first because there's only 8.5 billion text messages sent versus 100 billion text messages or emails sent per day. 98% open rate on text message versus 20% open rate. If you're lucky, a 20% open rate on email. Then 19% click-through rate. Wow. Like if you want to text them your scheduling link or something like that versus a 3% click-through rate via email. Then 45% response rate versus 6%. Look at this, the actual response time. That's 90 crazy. Seconds on text messages, 90 minutes on email. And then if you want to do anything like coupon reduction, 13% versus 2%. Yet texting first, guys, it just makes sense. And all the data is there that validates that statement, undoubtedly. So you text them, they bounce back and say, yeah, Jay, I'd love to meet up for coffee. So you meet them. Have you ever had more than one person say, let's meet up for coffee?
Well, let me say one thing, actually. So I use texting a lot. Jay just calls.
Well, both.
But more so, Jay just will pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm in the area. Do you want to meet to go grab coffee? So Jay, really, you do prefer.
I mean, here's the deal. I'll call somebody 3 times in a row. Like, come on, answer your damn phone. You're real. Let's go. And so I'll dial, and then they don't answer. I'll dial it again. I'll dial it the 3rd time. Then I'll text and go, hey man, call me. And the thing is I understand this. I never present EXP at these meetings. I'm not there to present EXP. I'm there to grow and bond with that person. And I'm going to bring some value to that meeting. Like I'm there to find out what I can do to help them. So I walk in with nothing in my hands, guys. I literally have a pen and a manila folder, like a little, the file folders, that are, I have it folded and stuck in my back pocket. That's all I walk in with. So when I walk in, there's nothing intimidating. I don't walk in with a laptop. I walk in with nothing. And I go, man, dude, it's good to see you, man. How's everything going? We were talking about the YouTube. What are you doing on YouTube? I go straight into talking about what they need. How can I solve the problem? What ends up happening is I connect, and then a lot of times they'll ask me about EXP. They'll bring it up. They'll ask me what I'm doing, how I'm doing that. I might throw in, now that Dean's doing most of the driving around and stuff, we've got, 2,200 agents all over the world. So helping a lot of agents just kind of grow their business. And I just keep it light, but I only present via Zoom, Sean. It's the only way I do it is a live Zoom. That's it.
So the intention behind this first 15-minute meeting is to get them to say yes to a Zoom.
No, not really.
Well, really just build the relationship. And yes, you do want to get them to do a Zoom. Now, sometimes it doesn't happen in that first meeting. Sometimes it's just, you're just kicking it. You're just like building that relationship. And then you're able to invite to the Zoom later. But yes, I would say the goal is to get them on a Zoom.
The goal is to get them on a Zoom, but also it is a lot like dating. And the reason people that aren't good at recruiting, I find a lot of them aren't that good, is because they're trying to jump. They're you guys know, if you go out on a date, you don't just jump, right across the table and start trying to, you take a minute. Hey, I like that dress. You got to be cool, and to me, you can over recruit by moving too fast in the process. I'm probably a slow recruiter, but we've been, fairly successful at it.
Well, and by the way, by slowing down that recruiting process, I think you are deepening a relationship, which helps you with the retention aspect down the road because they know you, you know them. And because of that relationship, they're probably not going to want to go away. That's part of the moat that you're going to build around your empire, right?
Yeah.
I love it. And Stacy, I love what you said. She already started the day at SUC. So congratulations, Stacy. That means you're stretching your mind, right? You're learning faster than if you just didn't make that call to begin with. So congratulations on that. Also, how many conversations on average would you guys say that you have before you get them to this Zoom meeting? I just average it for me.
Oh, that's
I mean,
so hard to say.
I'd say 2 or 3, I mean, at some point I'm like, hey, I always, hey, come meet some of the cool people. I'll a lot of times invite somebody to one of our, sales trainings. And like every week we average just for our group, 140, 150, 130. So we have, when we invite somebody to kind of be a part of our little group, there's a lot of bodies on those Zooms, right? Like we got a lot of bodies here, we got 121 bodies, 121 people. That shows the camaraderie of the group. And so what I would do is figure out when Sean's doing stuff like that and invite them to say, hey, come meet Sean Kokoska. He's my mentor. He sold 4,000 houses, or he's awesome, and invite him to meet Sean.
So, and I would say, so the majority of time that I do get around in that conversation to asking that question, they do say yes, but that also doesn't mean that they actually get on the webinar.
Yeah.
So, now I always remind them, ahead of time. And then if they don't, then I don't make it a big deal. I just say, hey, so sorry you couldn't be on. I understand.
Yep.
We're in real estate.
That's good.
We're all crazy busy. You know what? We're going to have another one on this day. Would that day work out better for you? So just keep it going.
Love it. And who presents on those Zoom meetings?
Me.
Fantastic. Right on. And what is the duration of that Zoom meeting?
An hour.
An hour.
An hour? Is it one-on-one or is it group format?
All group.
All group. Okay. And how many people do you generally having show up to that? And how often are you doing it?
Well, I'll tell you this, I never focus on how many on those. It's all about consistency. See, my hour is my hour, whether it's with one person or 30, it's still my same hour. So what I've done is I've been very consistent. People always say, Jay, you're consistent. It's consistency. So I do it twice a week. And I do it for 1 hour, and everyone in our 2,200, they might, sometimes it's 3 people on there, but I might get one guest.
But sometimes it's 50.
Sometimes it's, it just depends. Yeah. So I don't get caught up with how many people are on those Zooms, but as long as they know if they want Jay Nelson to talk to their prospect, these are the nights and the times that I do it, and it's very consistent.
So we teach all of our agents to do it the same way, because the way that you hear about EXP is probably the way that you're going to share EXP. And if you're running around trying to present to people the whole time, all the time, they're thinking, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that. I don't even want to learn to do a presentation like that. So even though I'm fully capable of doing a presentation, I refuse to do it. Because I am making the point that no, this is how it's duplicatable. This is how we do it. So if any of you are thinking about, starting to do this as well, just pick your day of the week, pick your time, and don't ever change it. Always be there. And then tell your people, or even say you're the only one, go ahead and start it. Go ahead and start it for yourself. And then you can present to those people that you're inviting. But just know in the beginning, you may have nobody show up. You may have one show up. But what we've also found is there's so many of our agents that are already with us at EXP that never fail to miss those presentation webinars. And what that does is that builds camaraderie within our group. And also, it also makes them hear it more and more and more. And the more you hear it more and more and more, the more readily available it is on your tongue to come out of you. So like when me and Jay first joined, we just watched every video we could possibly watch about EXP. Watched everybody that we could find that did a presentation. We watched it. So we would just hear it over and over and over and over again.
It's brilliant. Yeah, so the consistency is critical. As you all know, I do that Friday group attraction call. You're all welcome to invite non-EXP agents to engage in that with full transparency. I'm going to talk about the Libertas organization that we've started here toward the end, but I always tell them, whoever invited you to attend, they will be your sponsor here at EXP. I make that crystal clear. You're welcome to invite people. Yet when I started that, and this was probably about 150 weeks ago, you guys, that I started doing this group attraction event, like you said, sometimes nobody would show up. Sometimes one or two people would show up. I remember I think the third presentation that I did, and I do it every Friday, right? 3 people showed up. They were all EXP agents. I still gave the presentation. I recorded it. I archived it. I gave them the link to send it out to anybody and everybody else who wanted to learn about EXP. And what that's done is through the consistency, it's helped us just over the last 3 years and 1 month and 2 days has helped us grow to 2,200 agents, right? Because of the consistency. We have to get there. No doubt about that. So whether you have one, just remember, everything starts small. Like when I started MAPS business training for Keller Williams, where I took all of our proprietary model systems, training tools, technology to all industries outside of real estate, I planned a massive event for all the entrepreneurs in the Austin market. We had like 11 people show up, 11. Wow. And we had a room that was set for like 300 people. Yet we still gave the presentation, right? Then those 11 people went out and they started telling other people about it. It was the consistency, because we did this every single month. Within about 4 months, there wasn't an empty seat in the training room. There were people standing around the outsides of the rooms, right? Everything's going to start small. It's all based on your tenacity to keep pushing as hard as you possibly can, and you'll get what you want eventually, no doubt about that. So Jay, Ashley, there are really 4 categories that we have to focus on when we're building a revenue share organization, right? I call it the 4 R's. It's recruiting, it's retention, it's revenue or per agent production, and then it's reproduction. Out of those 4 categories, where do you guys think you invest the most amount of your time in building revenue share?
Go ahead.
What was the second one you said? That's the second
retention. One. So it's recruiting, retention, revenue, and reproduction, meaning get those agents you've attracted to join EXP, get them into action around attraction. Where do you spend most of your time? Talk to me.
I don't know. I mean, I would guess probably all of them, but I mean, I think retention is a big one for us because we lead with relationship and fun. And so we actively work on building relationships with our agents. And so that's the webinars. We do a sales webinar, we do a recruiting webinar. I am active on social media, commenting and talking to our agents, texting our agents. So that's a big part of it, is making people feel included. Everybody wants to feel included. And I think that was, a problem with the traditional brokerages. You don't feel included. You're just on your own. And that's something really special that we have and that we really work on. And as far as like getting them to produce for sales, Jay is super active in that, training our agents on sales, and then also on recruiting. And we both do calls with our agents, and then the webinars, and then also kind of my forte is texting. So a lot of our agents will screenshot me what they're texting to agents when they get stumped. And then they just know what I reply is what I would say back. They know they don't have to say it exactly, but that's one way that I help, them in that process.
Yep.
Fantastic. So what I've learned is that many people who are attempting to build revenue share here at EXP, they're not treating revenue share like its own independent business. So what are some of the things that you guys are doing right now that demonstrate the fact that you're treating this like a real business instead of just a side hustle?
Oh, man, to me, it's just the same. It's like, I mean, look, I look at everybody, like when I meet somebody that, the best years of my career as far as sales wise was 200 plus, transactions in a year. And I did it with bartenders. Like, I don't think I'm better than anybody on this call, guys. I was a waiter in a restaurant, So I'm always looking for those people that want to get in the industry, that want to do the work and learn how to sell houses. Because to me, it's the same. Look, when when you're selling houses, that's, attracting other people to you, right? Production is attraction. And so I'm very, very focused on making sure that people understand, why would you be a quarterback that only throws the ball? You got to be able to run. You can't just what if you had, Sean, to me, it's just part of being a dual threat. It makes sense. It helps the offense if you can run and throw at the same time. So why not do both? So I really, really make sure our agents understand, why not recruit 5 or 6 agents over the next 2 years and sell 38 houses by yourself or whatever.
I think it really comes down to a mindset of that we do both. Like every agent coming that's already at EXP or joining EXP needs to have that mindset of we do both. We are recruiters and we are sales. So it is both. And I think that it's more of a mindset that people have to say, I do this. This is part of my job.
Yeah.
Instead of I'm a realtor, I sell houses only.
Yeah, we help other agents sell houses,
Absolutely. But
So-
I think it's, as we get into that revenue category or per agent production, I think the mindset needs to be that we're going to move our FLA to FLQA. We're going to get them productive.
100%.
We're going to get our quarter cappers, move them to half cappers, our half cappers to full cappers, our full cappers to icon agent status, so that they get excited about the XP model and they're willing to share it with other people. No doubt about that. So remember the 4 categories, guys: recruiting, retention, revenue, and reproduction. Now, Jay, Ashley, you guys have said you've got agents all over the world. How did that start to happen for you in terms of international attraction?
You want to answer that?
I mean, you know what? We had agents that we brought on board that knew people in Hong Kong. And then we helped them, it's interesting. Like the guy I'm talking about, this is a crazy story if y'all want to hear a crazy one. The guy I'm talking about, Andrew Vos, 4.5 years ago, I was on a call with him. I've known him for, 8 to 10 years. And he argued with me, because he's stubborn. He's ex-military. He argued with me about getting his real estate license. He said, I don't want to be a realtor. Y'all want to take one guess? That was 4.5 years ago. Guess how many transactions that kid closed last year?
He's in Colorado Springs, right?
350.
Yeah, 350.
And he told me he didn't want to get his license. Well, you want to argue with me, I can argue back. So I argued back. 30 days later, he calls me and says, I want to get into real estate. I said, well, you're smart. And he did the work. Well, he knew somebody who knew somebody in Hong Kong. You see what I'm saying? So it was more of like, I look at everybody equal. Like, okay, what are we going to do to get you where you need to go? And then we pour in, and then things happen when you're pouring into other people. And that was one of those things.
As a testament to that, the first time I met you in person, Jay, I mean, we've met on Zoom a few times. We had a couple of phone calls. I flew into Nashville. You picked me up at the airport.
I remember that car ride.
Yeah, it was a great car ride. It was a fantastic and dynamic conversation. Yet we pull up to the restaurant. We sit in a booth, right? And by the time we finished dinner, he had the wait staff all excited about joining real estate. I'm not kidding you guys. He's a connector of people, and he wants to cast that vision. He's a great vision caster, and he gets people to say, yes, I want to align with this. Yet here's the difference. Okay. He's willing to create the conversation. He's willing to put his ego at risk a little bit. And maybe the person doesn't like real estate. Maybe they want nothing to do with it. He's not afraid just to ask him about it. So Jay, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Dude, Sean, you're awesome. You're awesome. I love you, man. You got a heart of gold. You're one of the best guys. Like everybody that has aligned with you, you guys are lucky and blessed. I mean, heart of gold, a lot of experience. I mean, and that's really what people are going to be attracted to is, what is your heart? Like I don't claim to have every answer, but I'm going to lead with my heart every time. And sometimes I get burnt. You know what? Part of my mindset, Sean, on a daily basis is, as long as I go with everything I got and I throw my actual heart out there, then at least if I do get burnt, they burnt me on me being genuine about my intent. And that's how you are. And that's why I love you, buddy.
Let me speak for a second.
I got you guys. Well, thank you. Go ahead, Ashley.
I'll speak for just a second on not just how we expanded internationally, but how we expanded just through the United States. So I've always been and was very intentional about recruiting not in Nashville, Tennessee. So I think a lot of people think they can only recruit agents that they know or that they've done a deal with. I am always looking, like, if we are traveling, I will look up top agents in that area and say, hey, I'm going to be here for a day and a half. I'll text them. I know you don't know me. Me and my husband are in real estate in Nashville. I would love to grab coffee with you, see how the market is here, share with you what we have going on in real estate. And a lot of times people say yes. And so I'll do that. And then I'll also do that even just online. But I do my homework. I do a little Facebook stalking of people so that I can find a little common ground. Like for me, I in the beginning, now I can talk to anybody, but in the beginning, I felt very comfortable talking to Remax agents and Century 21 agents, just because that was our background. And so I would just research those agents. And then I would start looking through their Facebook, and I'm like, oh, wait, they do mission work. So do I. And then I'll send a text. Hey, you're in South Carolina. I'm in Nashville. We're both in real estate. I see you love to do mission work. Me too. I would love to connect with you about what you have going on in real estate and share with you what me and my husband have going on. You know, do you have time in the next couple of days for us to jump on a quick phone call?
Yeah. And, you know, I'm just reading through some of the questions people are asking here, Sean. You know, one thing is we don't have any kind of drip campaign. I like CRM Grow, but I haven't really used it. I mean, we've kind of, I think it's a great platform because of the trackability, but I mean, we've done this very old school, guys. We're not as fancy as we should be.
We could be better.
We could be a lot better. You know, we could be a lot better. I mean, we don't have people set up on drips. Had another agent in here ask about, do we have some kind of successful, you know, we do. Look, we're old school. We're really old school. You know, build the relationship, have real conversations. There's this thing called a phone. People actually talk into them sometimes, and call and actually ask them questions and get in front of them. I mean, like I look at it like this, Sean, also. Like every listing appointment, I mean, I don't even remember the last time I was actually in someone's home that I didn't get the listing. I actually remember one like 4 years ago. If I get in front of them,
remembers that one.
yeah, oh yeah, and they ended up getting screwed on the deal. They should have hired me. They screwed up, but that's cool. But like if I get in front of somebody or I can connect with them, then I'm building that trust. And I just think that's so critical. And start asking yourself, how much does that prospect trust me? Like if you literally went through your database, ask yourself, go through and say, this person trusts me at a 10. This person trusts me at a 1. And focus on, you know, getting those numbers up to 8, 9, 10. And then they're that much closer to listening to you if they trust you.
So yeah, so we're not that great with systems. We're just very, you know, grassroots and personal. So, but one thing that we definitely do very intentional is social media. So be friends with them on Facebook, make them be your close friend on Facebook so that you see their stuff. On Instagram, go to their profile, hit the little bell button in the top right side, and then turn on all notifications so that you see all their stuff. So then be intentional. Every story you see, you know, don't just heart the bottom of a story, because they don't see that. They don't see everybody that hearts it. But if you like click on it and then you could do a heart that way, then that actually sends them a message on Instagram saying that you did that, or say a comment. And then a lot of times I'll take it a step further and send a text and say, hey, I see that your son is learning to play guitar on YouTube. My son is too. That's so cool. Like just something totally personal that has nothing to do with real estate, just to connect.
Well, undoubtedly it's working for you guys. And thank you for that insight, especially about Facebook, Instagram. I think that's brilliant, you guys. Brilliant. Way to go. So real quick, question came in, top 3 questions, opening questions to engage agents. What would you say? So you meet them for coffee, Jay. What do you say?
I'd say, man, you know, what's your jam for lead gen? Well, like, what are you doing? Are you building a YouTube channel? Are you focused on your Google? Like, Are you just doing social media? Are you doing postcards? Are you knocking doors? What are you doing?
So it's really all about them and their strategy, their business, to where you could ideally maybe share with something that you're doing that's actually working and
Yeah,
improve their ability. See,
if I find out what they're saying, Sean, then I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what? Sean Kokoska, I mean, he just did this course on, building Google profiles and making sure you get more reviews on Google. And I'd love to introduce you to them. Like figure out where their gap is, where they're struggling, and add that into the value. And then they'll be more open to saying, hey, yeah, I'll jump on and meet somebody.
And I always like to ask, how long have you been in the business? Who are you with now? And who were you with before that? Because that tells me a lot, like, oh, they just switched, they switch every 2 years. And then I can be like, oh, well, why'd you switch? So those just basic questions, those 2 basic questions lead to a lot of more conversation.
Love it. Love it. Well, I've said it before so many times, you guys, the easiest way to build rapport with people, gain their trust and their loyalty is to teach them something. So Jay, Ashley, I love the approach where you say, tell me about what you're doing on YouTube. Tell me about your email campaigns, your door knocking strategy, your open house strategy. And maybe you share a couple of nuggets with them that are going to help them tweak and plus that to get them to a higher level of result. See, when you can do that, when somebody teaches you something, when somebody teaches me something, I almost automatically trust them and I'll listen to what they have to say. No doubt about that. And you guys are demonstrating that at a very high level. Congratulations. We got 1 more minute left. So Jay, Ashley, any parting thoughts, words of wisdom, anything that might impact mindset or action? What are your thoughts?
Just, go to it. And like when I walk out of a meeting, I want to say, did I connect with them? Like stop trying to recruit them and just start trying to connect, and ask yourself, did I connect? Did I add some value? And then the recruiting comes naturally. And not everybody's going to, guys, we've shown this to people and they're, I don't know if they'll ever come, but I still go, man, I did connect with that person. And that's all that really matters, because you're going to get some, you're going to not get some. You just got to figure out, am I connecting with people?
And so I would just say, have the mindset of recruiting is a positive. It's a positive for them. It means that you want them. It means that they're desirable. And what we have is great. We are giving them value. We are showing them value. And then also, it's okay that they don't join you. Not everybody's going to. And I would just say, do as many people, text and talk to as many people as you possibly can, and who cares what they say back?
Yep.
I mean, I've only had one person tell me, flat out, okay, no, you need to stop. I'm not joining. And he ended it with a winky face on a text. And I said, well, you actually ended it with a winky face, so I think you might still be interested. And he's like, no, I'm not. But to me, like, that's great. Like, that's fun. So I think, like, just don't be offended by things, like have fun with them. Like, to me, it's kind of fun to try to get them to change their mind.
Undoubtedly. Well, way to go, you guys. Now, if you find yourself in a position where you want more, maybe you desire a little bit of help. Paul Helm has posted in the chat a couple of times his scheduling link. He's my right-hand man here at Icon Coaching. If you guys want to jump on a free coaching and consultation session, Paul's going to help you solve at least one major problem with no expectation, call to action, twisting your arm, none of that. Just jump on a call with Paul. Check it out. And Paul, go ahead and post your scheduling link one more time. Get it at the bottom of the feed. And if you want more and maybe want some help, reach out to Paul. He'll help you out. He's a non-commissioned based salesperson here at Icon. He's a consultant. Like I said, he's my right-hand man. He's not here to push you. Okay. Just check it out. All right, gang. Jay, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today. And if there's anything I can ever do for you guys, if there's anything I can ever do for you guys to help you with your organization, presentation, a webinar, joining your group call, anything like that, just reach out to me, man. I am all over it for you guys. Okay.
Well, you've always been there for us, and I just appreciate you as a person and a friend, and congratulations on all your success. And everybody on here, just remember this, you can do everything we did. You just got to have the right mindset and the right work ethic combined, and surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are, and you'll be all right. That's what I did, because I'm not that smart. So
Love it. Love you guys. Thank you.
later,
Looking forward to
guys.
Next Wednesday.
Look
I'll
us
see
up
you all
on
then.
Facebook.
Bye,
We'll be
everybody.
friends with everybody. We love
Go
friends.
do it. Go do it.
Love y'all. Yeehaw. Yeehaw. See y'all.